Hey Echo, we're having really a lot of fun playing against baguettes. It's fun. Do you want to play? It's fun.
Did you say baguette?
It's fun. It's so fun. Imagine you're playing the video game and suddenly you can't play the video game anymore. Hero balance in Overwatch has been, still is, and probably always will be a very touchy subject. Whether you are in Platinum or Grandmaster, you probably have a very specific view on which heroes should be hit with a Nerf hammer and which ones are horribly underpowered. A recent PTR update introduced a heck of a lot of changes to a bunch of heroes. Scatter Arrow was replaced with a new ability and Hanzo's kit was changed in general. Junkrat has seen a few tweaks to make him less frustrating to play against. Lucio has gotten a huge buff in disguise of a quality of life improvement, and finally, Genji and Tracer have seen some pretty significant nerfs. When it comes to whether these changes were needed or even justified in the first place, asking 1,000 people is probably gonna yield at least 100 different answers. As such, I want to make you aware of the fact that you may or may not disagree with my opinion on the whole subject matter. And you know what? Disagreeing is completely fine. Everyone has a different perspective, made different experiences, and considers different things. Just try not to get your panties up in a knot over it. When it comes to unnecessary buffs and nerfs in Overwatch, there are a lot of cases that I could highlight from my personal point of view. And the only reason I did not get all up in arms over the recent Zenyatta nerf was because I just didn't think I could be objective. Despite me making an effort to show you guys hopefully entertaining clips as background footage to my videos, Zenyatta is the only hero that I'm even remotely good at, and that consistently. Needless to say that the nerf to his right click was very aggravating. However, such a response will be expected from somebody who is a closet Zenyatta one-trick. Thankfully, we now have a bunch of heroes who have been changed on the PTR right now, which I don't care about at all, allowing me to approach the subject from a bit of a different perspective. Now, since all the warning and pandering in the world is not gonna stop people from leaving nonsensical comments, why don't we just get right into it? Is Blizzard listening too much to their player base, or are they just listening to the wrong people? From the outside, it very much looks like Blizzard is very concerned about listening to what the majority of people have to say, or sometimes it's more about the vocal majority of those who can cry the loudest and not those who deliver reasonable explanations. In a greater publisher-related sense, that is not all that much of a bad idea. Appealing to the majority of people seems like a good way of making sure that most of your players are having a good time. Haters are gonna hate no matter what you do, and hardcore fans are more likely to suck up bad decisions and keep playing anyway. And if World of Warcraft is anything to go by with my decade of experience, it sure looks like that this is the general balancing strategy of Blizzard Entertainment. The problem that I have with this approach is that, and you're definitely gonna take this a wrong way, most people who play Overwatch are absolutely terrible at playing Overwatch. I'm stuck! Oh, that was so lucky. There's no way he planned that. There's no way.
How did you say?
I'll see it. He actually did! He's actually insane! Let me explain. Looking at many popular games on the market, their path of improvement is very cut and dry. Learn to point and click better, figure the maps out, and get some muscle memory. But Overwatch does a lot of things very differently to many other mainstream titles. The fact that most of us play the game completely wrong, and even the fact that our idea of how the game should be played is simply wrong, comes down to a lack of urgency sides of the developer to get us to play properly. The tutorial is an absolute joke and does nothing of value to prepare you for the reality of a quick play, let alone competitive match. And as much as people might want to label Overwatch as easy, it is also very easy to play it wrong. As a developer, it is your job to save the players from themselves. A smart player will always be looking for the path of least resistance, the easiest way to achieve their goal. That's why meta play is so prevalent in competitive games. Somebody who has a truly competitive mindset won't unnecessarily handicap themselves for the sake of challenge. They will do everything in their power to simply win. When I talk about saving players from themselves, you can sort of compare this whole buffing and nerfing situation to babysitting a bunch of spoiled children. They are crying and yelling about how they don't want to eat their veggies and instead demand that you serve them ice cream. Objectively, you know that having them eat the vegetables is the right thing. You make sure that no food goes to waste and vegetables are healthy. But the children do not care about any sort of long-term viability to the proposed action. All they care about is that they want ice cream and they want it now. Comparing that to our situation, players are crying for hero X, Y, and Z easy to be nerfed without thinking 2 steps ahead as to what would happen if they actually were to be nerfed. And now, Blizzard is in a bit of a pickle. Where they failed as a parenting figure in this situation is that they already told their children that not eating their veggies is fine, but they still somehow want to get them to eat healthy, so what do? They sneak vegetables into other dishes that the children love eating. And that is exactly what's happening right here. Objectively, Tracer and Zenyatta both did not need a tweak. Nerfing Zen's Old Fire and Tracer's ultimate was completely unnecessary. But the goal of these changes is to finally get the children to simply stop crying. Looking at Zenyatta, is that nerf going to meaningfully impact his playstyle or even the things that people complained about in the first place? No, it won't. But is it a completely unnecessary nerf to a character who essentially counters himself with his very existence and moon-sized hitbox? Of course it is. But at least now people who thoughtlessly cry for a Zenyatta nerf because their ego can't handle getting killed by a support when they overextend can shut up. And same goes for Tracer. Yes, it is going to meaningfully impact her ability to pick off tanks, but nothing else is going to change. I mean, why did people want Tracer to be nerfed in the first place? Long story short, because she's annoying. And why is she annoying? Because she was designed to be annoying. Tracer has a lot of mobility, a lot of damage, and an emergency button to get out of harm's way. Hitting her slender hitbox with any hero is difficult enough, but her abilities simply make her a pest to deal with. And the nerf to her pulse bomb is not gonna change anything about that, but at least people can now stop feeling like they're being treated unfairly because Tracer was the only hero to never be tweaked. If you ask me, this largely comes down to the massive egos that some players have. There are people who simply can't take the fact that a support hero even has the ability to remotely harm them. Do they care that them being taken out can come down to their own misplays? Or do they care about other counters that this hero has? Of course not. An injured ego does not care about any of that. In that same vein, players are getting mad at the fact that their favorite heroes are getting nerfed all the time while Tracer remains untouched since launch. And thus, they want that annoying little rat nerfed. And not for the sake of playing devil's advocate, but simply because it is my belief that this is the case, Blizzard has done that to themselves. I have talked about this in the past. The way Overwatch has been designed, it is breeding a lot of the problems that the devs are trying to put band-aids on. Now, of course, the issues look very simple from a consumer perspective, which is what I am laying out here. The problems that they have to fix, in my opinion, are actually very complex. But a lot of this had more to do with their mentality and development direction rather than specific decisions they made. One of the reasons why I believe Rainbow Six Siege is so popular is because it is unapologetically difficult. They did not compromise on their design philosophy for the sake of inclusion. But Overwatch, quite contrary to that, is trying to please each and every one of us, combining mechanics from a variety of genres to make sure everyone finds something they like. And it is this lack of direction that is causing all these issues. The fact that they started with an inherently casual game but then tried to push it as an esport. And now that the esport is running, they are trying to keep it alive. And you can only do that by furthering the competitive scene of your game. But how do you introduce competition to an inherently broken system that previously you had already left a wrong mark on? It's not like all they do is trying to pander to who is crying the loudest, but fact of the matter is that this entire environment they created, including the game itself and its surrounding community, it may have simply not gone the way they expected. And quite frankly, they are now dealing with something that is very fundamentally broken and difficult to fix, at least from a competitive standpoint. It feels like the devs are stuck between trying to do what they believe is right, trying to do what's best for the game and its growing esports scene, and trying to do what pleases the spoiled player base that they messed up themselves. But how can they find this perfect middle ground to achieve all of their goals? That, my friends, is a question that even I don't have the audacity of claiming to know the answer to. You know, people always say that making videos is easy. All you do is talk into a microphone, slap some gameplay into the background, and boom, you got yourself a moneymaker. And now you can prove that you are better at making videos than me. The Humble Creative Freedom Bundle is back, featuring not only Vegas Pro 14, which is the exact editing software I'm using myself, but also many other tools to enhance your own video production. And the best part is that you can choose where your money goes. So even if you don't like my face, you can make sure that your money ends up where it makes a difference. Unleash your own creative potential with the Humble Creative Freedom Rebundle by following the link in the description below. It's funny how these kinds of things can spiral out of control, isn't it? Who thought that more freedom and a lack of direction would lead to create such an entitled player base? I guess trying to teach us how to eat our veggies is the real issue. But this is gonna wrap up today's video talking about the recent PTR hero changes and why I believe Blizzard feels forced to keep nerfing the wrong heroes. At the end of the day, they're just trying to fix their own mistakes. But as always, my friends, that is just my opinion, so feel free to leave your own opinion on the subject in question down in the comment section below. But until then, thank you everybody so much for watching. Don't forget to drop me a like on your way out if you enjoyed the video, subscribe if you want to see more, and I hope to see you all next time.